After abusing me for my entire life, my parents finally started loving me, but only after realizing they could make money off of me. So I let them think they won, only to absolute ruin them when the time was right. I ruined my parents' lives before I was even born. They were the dream power couple. Met in high school, went to the same university, had a dream about backpacking across continents together, and then, during sophomore year, they didn't use a rubber. My father fertilized my mother, and I was created. They actually wanted to terminate, but both sets of grandparents shut that down fast. So, because of me, everyone was whispering about my mom's pregnant belly. It got so bad that she dropped out of the degree she'd wanted her whole life. As you can imagine, she didn't like me much after that. Actually, she straight up resented my existence. But thanks to my grandparents, I never found that out until I was 5. Because up until that point, I legit thought my mom was my sister and my grandparents were my actual parents, because she wanted nothing to do with me. If I ever tried getting her attention, she'd either completely ignore me or snap at me. And as for my dad, well, he wasn't even in the picture, so I had zero clue he existed. Meanwhile, they kept dating like nothing had changed. By the time I started walking and talking, Dad had graduated and suddenly developed a conscience. He started showing up on weekends, and I just thought he was some random friend of my grandparents that my mom hated. That's how I finally figured out that this family friend was actually my father. Once Dad landed a decent job, he suddenly wanted me to live with them. Mom was completely against it, but my aging grandparents basically forced them into it. So, at 5 years old, I reluctantly moved in with these strangers who happened to be my biological parents. Saying it sucked would be the understatement of the century. It felt like someone had turned off the sun, and throughout their emotional neglect, my mom would constantly remind me how lucky I was that they took me in, and in the same breath, she'd threaten to kick me out over any tiny mistake. Dad worked crazy hours and came home exhausted. Whenever I tried bonding with him, he'd brush me off with, "I can't deal with you right now." I went from being surrounded by love to living with people who couldn't stand the sight of me. I became so terrified of her reactions that I started doing perfect schoolwork just to finally earn her acceptance. Spoiler alert, I never did.